In this front compartment is the regulator valve for your propane tanks. It's this little lever that's on the top, and you can flip that left and right to select which tank you'll be using. There's also an indicator in the center. It goes green to red to show you when the tank is empty. So one tank's over here, the other tank is on the other side of the camper. There's a little light over here you can switch on and off. There's also a switch here, which is for this front light. In this compartment, there's a couple things. This is where your battery is located. There's also a battery shut-off switch that you're going to use for like winter storage when you're not going to have power here. You can hit that to shut off your battery. A couple other things in the fifth wheel. This is the control module for the jacks, and there's fuses there in case the jack's not working. You can check those fuses out. And also on top of the jacks, there's a rubber cap, and there's also a cap on the bottom right there. And you can crank those manually if there's a problem. If they're not working, you can operate them manually. This is the buttons to put the jacks up and down. Power cords in here. There are a couple lights in these compartments. There's one here, there's another on the other side. If you look to the left, you'll see the water filter. And right when you come in, this is where you'd hook up cable and satellite. This is also where you hook up your hose to city water. And you can bring those right through the bottom. There's a little hatchway here. And then you close the door up and they're secure. There's some valves here in a diagram that'll translate which way you have to point the valves. When you winterize the camper and whatnot, you just refer to that diagram. You just have to point the handles in the right direction. There's also a switch up here to turn on the pump. That's just used when you're winterizing, so you don't have to run inside to hit the switch. That's a second switch to turn the pump on. The black port is your tank flush over there. And of course that's used when you empty out your holding tanks. So under here you'll see you got gray, black, and gray. This camper's got two gray tanks. One is for the bathroom sink and shower. That's this one. And this one to the rear here, you're gonna see a sticker that says galley gray. That is the kitchen sink gray. They all come out of the same port, and black is toilet, of course. And when you empty these, when you empty the black water, that's when you can hook up to that flush port for a minute or two, and you can allow that to rinse. Over here you got the vents for the stove and for your refrigerator. This is a manual crank for the rear slide out. Back here is where your electric cord goes in. This is to fill your tank if you ever go to a state park where there's no water. That allows you to fill your fresh water tank. Of course, at the campground you won't be needing that. There's a drain underneath too, and that's to drain your fresh water tank. So you'll see another crank here. That's if you wanted to, close the slide out manually. That's to lower the spare tire. That's your LP hookup for the griddle. The griddle can attach right on the rail. You got power here and cable for a TV. And this is the water heater. And this is controlled from the inside of the unit, so you really don't have to mess with that. I'll show you when we get inside how to turn that on and off. That's your outside work table, the griddle, and the bracket for the griddle still in the box. And those are the manual cranks if you ever had to crank something by hand, that's where the cranks are being stored. Now on these steps, so these you just lift in and out, pretty simple. When you lower the steps, there's a pin right here, and if you pull the pin, this allows you to extend the foot as needed. And this is in case the ground's uneven, you can make sure that the step sits flat on the floor. One thing you'll want to check is when you go to close the door, make sure there's a gap right here, because if the step is up too high, it'll hit the door. So if it hits the door, that's when you're gonna lower that a little bit. Right now, there's plenty of clearance there, so there's no issue. But just check that the first time that you set it up. Oh, down here is the sweep-o-vac, and this you can kind of sweep the floor towards it. If you hit this button, it just kind of sucks everything in. There's also an accessory kit with a hose and a wand you can hook up as well. So you can just sweep stuff to it, or you can hook the hose up to it. If you pull out on this, there's a bag here, and this gray thing, you slide this off, and then you can take and just dump this into the garbage to empty it. And you put that back on. It goes in. Okay, so there's a GFI outlet here. This is to run all the plugs in the back of the camper. There's another one in the bathroom, and that's going to run all the outlets in the front of the camper. There's some light switches here. Well, these you just have to kind of mess around with them, and you can see what they do. There's the pendant lights. There's also like an accent light over the cabinet that lights up the ceiling. In here, there's some additional light switches. So these run, basically all the lights in this are controlled over here in this bank of switches. So that's down here, you got 5 light switches. Up here, this is for the ceiling fan. So this turns on and off. This switch turns on and off the ceiling fan. And that's got pull chains on it too, so you can speed it up or slow it down if you want from back there. This switch is the Wi-Fi Ranger. This is the booster that's built in with the roof antennas, and if you want to use this, you basically switch it on, and you'll see on your computer or phone, you'll see this pop up, and you have to type in the password to connect. And there's also a control panel address, and if you go to your web browser, type in that control panel, that will take you to the settings so that you can configure the Ranger to work with the campground Wi-Fi. If you're not using it, you can leave it switched off. It's a neat feature to have built in on these things. This is the monitor panel for the solar that's installed on the roof. And this runs automatic, so you don't have to actually, you don't have to hit any buttons on it. It's just gonna run by itself. If you tap the AB button over here, this will go through the different display screens and show you. So right now it's showing me my voltage, the amperage of the panel, and it's telling me that we're at 100%. The way the solar works in an RV is the solar panel runs through this controller and then connects to the DC system in the RV. So in here, or in an RV, as you know, all the lights, the slide out awnings, most of the stuff in here is DC. It's low voltage DC. So the solar connects to that DC system, which has your battery. So this is going to recharge your battery, which then in turn runs most of the items that are in this RV. Now, if you get a rainy day and you don't have the sunlight, you know, then your plug-in power is going to take care of keeping the DC system up and running. But if you get the, you know, you get a nice sunny day, you know, you won't need to rely as much on that. So this is just here to it basically keeps your battery charged, which runs most of the items in the RV. So this is the main panel. There's a main power on-off switch right here. So you'll see if it's off, it doesn't do anything. So you got to turn this on first. And the first thing is up here, you'll see your holding tank gauges. And I don't know if you can see with the glare or not, but so the battery is charged. Battery's charged right now. It's telling you it's all the way. And these are your holding tanks. Just keep in mind, some of these tanks won't apply to this RV. So, like, you know, we only have a black, a gray, and a galley, and a fresh. So we don't have a black 2 or a gray 2. But as you use the RV, you'll see these gauges pop up and show you when the tank is full. The difference here to what you're used to seeing is this panel continuously monitors the holding tanks. You don't have to walk up and push the button and read the light. This is like a gauge that runs all the time. So just open the door, you can glance and you'll see how much you know, liquids in all your tank. So the stuff on the panel here, this is pretty self-explanatory. There are a couple light switches here. You got your entry light, which, I mean, that's just a hallway light, is all that is. Porch light, that's your yellow light that's on the outside. The awning light, that's the LED that's under the awning. The aisle light, I'll show you that. That's this little night, it's like a night light by the step inside. And the step light, that's on the outside. It's another one of those little downward facing lights that goes on the outside of the unit. So those are some light switches. You're gonna see up here electric water heater, and that'll run your water heater on electric. So at the campground, that's probably the mode that you're going to use. You just click that to turn it on. There's also over here, you'll see gas water heater, LP gas water heater. That'll run water heater using propane. So you can choose if you want electric or gas for that. Water pump is what you use if you're dry camping somewhere and you had water in your tank. Remember, for when you're at the campground, you're going to be connected to the hose, so you won't need to use the water pump. That can stay off. Tank heater, that's the underbelly heat system. That's going to heat up below the floor. If it goes below freezing, you're going to want to probably switch that on just for an added heat down there. Keep the plumbing heated for you, your tanks and things. And then down here, these are to open, close your slide out. So you got 3 slide outs on here. And this last one is the awning. There's only awning 1 on this camper. There is no awning 2. Just keep that in mind. So you're just gonna open your awning, you hold this down, and you'll see how this now is extending your awning for you. Okay, that's everything in this panel. We'll walk to the back. There are some extra lights installed. So like there's one here. There's one over the stove. You know, you turn on using that button. So if you see a light that's off, you know, and you want to turn it on, just look. There's probably a switch you can use right on the light. There's an outlet over here. you can pop up. That's got 110, and it's also got 2 USBs, so you can charge your phone there if you like. This has a glass cover. Anytime you're gonna cook, obviously open the cover. And for this, you just turn the knobs here. I'm gonna light all the burners. It's pretty simple. You just turn the burners on, and this is your sparker. This knob here, clockwise only, so you always go clockwise with this. And that sparks until the burners light. The oven, to light the oven, you're gonna turn this knob. There's a little picture of a flame, and you have to hold this knob in. So I'm holding that with my thumb, and then you're gonna hit your sparker. So let me see if I can prop the phone up so you can watch. Okay, so I'm holding the knob in, and now I'm gonna hit the sparker. So you can see that it's sparking, but it hasn't lit yet. This may take, a little extra. Okay, once the pilot is lit, keep holding that knob for around 15 seconds. After 15 seconds, you can release the knob and you can turn it to your temperature, and now your burner will kick on. Okay, when you're through with the oven, go all the way to off, and that'll actually take that pilot off all the way. Okay, there's a switch here. This oven, so there's like a little night light mode, and it lights up the knobs, kind of just like a little accent light. And there's also a light in the oven, which is pretty cool. I've never seen a RV with an oven light. So that's something that's kind of nice. All right, in your fridge, so these doors, you're just gonna put your hand in here and push, and that's to unlock these doors, okay? You'll see the switches up here. So this is turned off right now, so I'm gonna hit on off. And this is your display panel. It's up here, so now this lights up. So this you can see all the time. This is great. It's a temperature for your fridge, so you always know the temperature inside your refrigerator. There's a button here that says temp set, and this will go 1 through 5. 5 is the coldest, obviously. 1 is gonna be the warmest. You'd probably leave that on 3. That's the middle setting. But anyway, that's how you turn that on. You're gonna see there's a dot near auto. Auto means it's gonna try to run on electric first, but if there's no electric, it will go to gas. You can also manually switch it if you'd like, and that's what the center button's for. So if I hit this, you'll see that dot moved over to the right to LP, and that forces the refrigerator to LP. But in reality, just leave that on auto and it can switch by itself. So you can see this still says it's 60 degrees in the fridge. When you turn this fridge on, it's gonna take several hours to get cold, but you can keep an eye on that that little temperature readout there, and you'll be able to tell what the temperature is in the fridge. So in this cabinet here on the right, you'll see there's an outlet in here. There's also a switch, and the switch turns on and off. There's a little accent light that lights up in there, and kind of like a little night light feature. Down here, these are the buttons for the fireplace, and basically you turn this on, and you can see right now this is set to This has a thermostat built in, and you can change the temperature that it's set to. So right on the top here, you'll see there's an icon. It's the one on the left, and it kind of looks like a thermometer. And if you push this button, you'll be able to change the temperature setting. So see, this is 78. So, you know, this goes around. It's going to go all the way to 99, which is, I mean, you'd never have it that high, but after 99, it's going to say on. And on means it's just going to run on all the time, okay? It'll also go to off. And off means you'll be able to keep, you know, the display on, but it actually will not produce heat. So if you wanted this just on as kind of an accent light, that's when you'd set that to the off. Also, you'll see now that red light near the thermometer has turned off, and that's just telling you that the heat portion of this is now disabled. And if we hit it again, it's going to start at 59. That's the lowest number you can set this to. So you could put this on. Let's see. I'm going to put it on 65. Okay. So that means this will work up. It'll heat us up to 65, and then it will turn itself off. And you see the display shuts off too after a few minutes or a few seconds. The display goes blank. So there's also a button here. This is the second button. This changes the display intensity. So you can see I'm lowering like the flame level. It's kind of hard to see with the camera, but and that actually turns the image off. And you can see now the light has turned off, but the heat is still running. So we're still producing hot air, but we've turned off the flame. And if you hit this again, you'll see it'll light back up. There's also a couple different colors you can use here. This is like an amber. There's also one that has like a bluish flame to it. And then there's an all blue, kind of a dimmer. So there's a couple different options you can kind of mess with there. Play with that too. So it's telling me that it's 60 degrees in the camper. But, you know, we can run this to, you know, whatever temperature you want, and it'll turn on and off automatic, which is great to have an extra heater in this unit. So this first button, again, that's the power. Just tap that shuts the whole thing down. So behind the TV, you'll see, well, let's open this TV so we can see it a little better. There's a strap here in the center, and if you just pull this down, so behind the TV, you'll see there's that little switch with the green light on it. And, well, that switch is to set between antenna and cable. So if you're someplace with cable, you're going to switch that off. But if you don't have cable and you want to use antenna, then, you know, you're going to switch that on. Okay? And there is an antenna crank. You'll see it in the hallway. It's right there, okay? And the crank is used to rotate the antenna that's on the roof, so you can get a little better signal in. But you know, the first time you set this up, you'll have to go this button with the 3 lines, you're going to go into your menu. And you're going to scroll down to settings. And once you go into settings, you'll see it's going to have like an auto scan option. And you have to run that auto scan in order to pick up your station. So settings, auto scan, let it run. That'll find your stations. Now the TV, this is using built-in speakers. It's also connected to the sound bar. And I'll show you how to turn the sound bar on if you want to use that. You're going to hit your power button for your radio. This goes to FM mode first, obviously. And these are your speaker zones right here, 1, 2, and 3. So 3 is outside. 2 is bedroom. There's 2 speakers in the bedroom, and 1 is the living room sound bar. So right now this is AM/FM mode, just a regular radio. There's also a Bluetooth mode. So there's a button here that says BT, and that's if you have music on your phone and you want to link that up so you can play music through your phone. If you tap your mode button here, it'll go through some other modes as well. In fact, if you go all the way to HDMI ARC,
hands. Get TheraWorks Relief for joint discomfort and inflammation. This powerful duo anti-inflammatory
HDMI ARC. ARC means audio return channel, and the ARC mode will play your TV audio through the soundbar speaker. So if you want the soundbar on, you go to HDMI ARC mode. That automatically shuts off the TV speakers and turns on the soundbar. When you're not using this, you just hold the button down. That shuts it off. It'll say standby. Then it'll go dark. And then the TV speakers will kick back on automatically. So, yeah, I'll just show you on the TV the auto scan one more time. I think I might have skipped that. So you go to your settings, and then this image is going to come up, and you're going to go down here to where it says channel. You tap channel, and now you'll see tuner mode, antenna. If you have cable, you're going to switch this to cable. And this is that auto channel scan. That'll run a scan, find all the local stations for you. This TV can also connect to Wi-Fi. Up here, there's a network button. And on your remote, you'll see there's some buttons down the bottom. This has built-in Netflix, YouTube, some other things. There's an app button here. If you hit apps, this will load an app menu. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of like things built into this TV you can run in additional to having antenna and cable. So you guys can mess around with that a little if you're into that stuff. So this couch, this is a hide-a-bed. This one's a hide-a-bed. This one is a theater seat. This has a lever, or more like a handle. When you're sitting, you just pull this up, and that activates the footrest, and it will recline. There's also little buttons here. This is to turn on the heat and massage. That red swiggly line, that's the heater. And the green icon is the massage. The blue is a light. There's like a little accent light in the cup holder. So the heat and the massage, there's 3 settings. It goes high, medium, low, off. So every time you tap that, you'll be switching it high, medium, low, off. There's also a plug back here behind the theater seat. Not really showing up that good. But these do plug in, and you know, sometimes the plug may fall out, so just keep in mind there's a plug back there. These are the feet for the TV. If the TV gets removed from the wall, those are the feet to set it on. This is the information packet, has all the paperwork in it. And here's your water filter and also the hose for the griddle that goes outside. And that's the tire pressure monitor, if you ever wanted to use that. So this is the thermostat for the unit. This is a 2-zone RV, so that means you've got 2 air conditioners. One's in the rear and the other's in the front. Now these air conditioners, they tie in to the same duct system. So even when one is running, keep in mind, it's still gonna blow air out everywhere. You can, of course, open directly. So if you wanted to get it a little cooler, you know, in the bedroom, then you may want to open on this air conditioner, and that will send a lot of air right out of this unit. But normally these are closed, and then you'll get airflow through the duct system. So when we're talking about the air conditioning on this unit, Zone 1 refers to this rear air conditioner, which is the the main living room area. That's Zone 1. And Zone 2 is the upstairs air conditioner, okay? So right now you'll see this says system off. If I tap system, so now it says system cool, and active zone 1, 2. That's telling me that I have this set right now for both air conditioners to come on. This is your temperature right here, up and down. So right now, I have it set to 59. In a second, you'll see that's going to change from 59 to 64. And that's telling me that it's 64 degrees currently in the unit where we're standing. So you can set the temperature to what you want there. If you tap the zone button, it's going to go to zone 2. And the same thing, you can set your temperature upstairs as well. There is a separate temperature sensor up there, so if you wanted to, lower it a couple degrees, and it may get a little colder up there for you. Once you select zone 1 or 2, so I'll go to zone 1 for a second, the mode button is going to go through the different settings of the air conditioner. So right now you can see it says high, cool, and there's a snowflake. There's also low, cool, and low is going to lower the fan speed so that it quiets down a little bit. Okay, nighttime, you might want to do that. There's also an auto cool, and auto cool will automatically control the fan speed for you. So if it's really hot, it'll run it on high, but once it reaches your temperature, it'll shut itself off. And that's what auto means. It's going to run and then it's going to shut off. Whereas if you leave it on, high cool, it's still going to reach your temperature, but then the fan will keep circulating the air inside the unit, so you have continuous ventilation. So you can run high cool, low cool, or auto cool. There's also a fan only setting. So if you go here, you see it says high fan, low fan. But one thing you'll notice now on fan, the snowflake icons disappeared and it changed to just a fan. So that's telling us that even though this is running right now, it's not actually producing any cold air. It's just running in ventilation mode. I'm gonna put this back to high cool for you. And remember again, this is on zone 1. I'm gonna hit go to zone 2. And zone 2 you see right now is just set to fan mode. I'll put this on to high cool also for you and leave it there. So that's the air conditioning zones. If we hit this system button now, you'll see it just changed from cool to heat. So what system does, system goes off, cool, heat, and then it goes back to off again. So I'm looking down the bottom here, system. Cool, heat, off. So if you want to run the heat in here, you're going to hit this so it goes to heat. So on this RV, there's also, well, of course, you have your fireplace back there. That's one way to make heat. The thermostat has 2 ways to make heat. You have your propane heater, which is common in all RVs. You know, every RV pretty much has a gas heater. That's the normal one. That's zone 1. Okay. Now zone 2 in this RV refers to electric heat. So if you're plugged in at the campground and you want to try to use electric so you're not burning your propane, you're going to use zone 2. So I'll show you that briefly. So right now we're on zone 1, and you can see it says heat off. If I hit this mode button, you'll see it goes to gas heat. If I hit it again, it goes to electric heat, and if I hit it again, it goes to off. Now, one thing, just want you to keep in mind, zone 1 can only operate in the gas heat mode. So if you put zone 1 to electric heat, it's not going to do anything. You might hear the air conditioner come on, but it's not actually going to make any heat because that air conditioner is not capable of producing heat. Zone 1. Zone 1, you can only operate the gas heat. So now I'm on gas heat. You see there's a little flame, and that's telling us it's going to start to get warm in here. Your gas heat's ducted, so that comes through the floor. You see there's a duct there. There's a duct back here. And once you have gas heat on, then you set your temperature here like you do normally. So that's zone 1. Zone 1's gas heat. Just try to remember that. If I switch to zone 2 now, and you'll see it says heat off. And now I'm going to hit mode. And the same thing, it's going to go gas heat, electric heat, off. Now, with zone 2, it's just the opposite. For zone 2, gas heat does not work. There's only one gas heater installed in this camper, and that's connected to zone 1. However, you do have an electric heat in zone 2. So zone 2, you can run electric heat. And that's going to use this front air conditioner, which is equipped with a heating element. So now, what we've done, we've turned that on to electric heat mode. And they're both going to run right now together. So zone 1, I have instructed gas heat to come on. In zone 2, I've instructed electric heat to come on. All right, so this is heating now through the floor. I'm getting heat out of the vents, and I have this air conditioning unit producing heat as well. So this thing's going to really heat up quick with both of those running. You don't have to use both. Again, if you're at the campground and it's 50 degrees and you want to try to save some propane, well, here's what I would do then. I would switch this to zone 1. I would kill this, so let's turn this to off. That shuts off my propane heat. Then you can just leave zone 2 running on electric heat mode. And now you'll get air, airflow. So remember, all the ducts are connected, so it's going to blow heat all the way through those ceiling ducts. Also, kick the fireplace on, that's electric. So now you're just running electric heat via the fireplace and via the rooftop AC unit. So you're not burning any propane. So there's lots of different ways you can do this depending on how you want to be set up. Okay, there's versatility. So I'm gonna put this basically to off for you so that it's not running in the meantime. So if you hit system, again, it's gonna go from heat to off. So system just goes cool, heat, off. All right, and I'll leave it to off. That's gonna shut everything off. This is not instant. You'll see this is gonna take a minute or two before everything receives a signal to shut down. So again, if you have it on cool, zone 1 refers to the living room air conditioner, zone 2 refers to the upstairs air conditioner. If you have it on heat, zone 1 is going to be your gas heater and zone 2 is going to be your electric heater. Okay? So here, this is the remote control for the ceiling exhaust fans. You got one here, there's another one back here. These are pretty high. I mean, you can't reach them. That's why you have a remote control. So first thing I want to show you, this button on the lower left here, this opens and closes the lid. So that opens the vent, all right, or closes the vent. Pretty simple. It'll also tell you on the remote control that it's closed, and it'll also tell you the fan if it's on or off. It'll also tell you the temperature in the room right now. So it's telling us it's 65 degrees in the room. Now this remote, this is a one-directional remote. What I mean by that is what you're seeing on the display here is just telling you the last command that the remote sent to a fan. So this doesn't get feedback from the fan, meaning, if I aim this thing, at the floor and I push the button. Okay, so it just said open. Guess what? It didn't open it because I wasn't pointing this at the fan. So the display just tells you the last command that you tried to send, but it doesn't necessarily tell you that the fan had received the command. And that's why there's a beeper installed here. So if you get a good command, you'll hear it actually beep. Okay, so this is actually the sensor. So when you're running these fans, and there's another one over here, by the way, just kind of make sure you aim this up, when you push the button, okay? That'll open those fans for you. So that just opens and closes the vent. There's a couple other buttons here. You can manually turn the fan on and off, and that's what this upper right button is for. All right, so that turns the fan on. You'll also see here, there's an up and a down arrow. And you see this changes the fan speed. So I'm going to 50, 40. So that slows the fan down or speeds the fan up. So that's the up and down buttons. And you can see on here it's telling us that we've turned the fan on. There's also an auto button. And you'll see now this changed to auto. It's also closing the lid on me, and it's turning the fan off. Auto means you can set the temperature, which right now you can see it says set temp 78, 77, and now I'm using the plus and the minus. And again, listen for the beeps here to make sure that the fan receives your command. So right now I have this on 72, and what this means on auto is, see, right now it's 66 in here. Once it reaches 72 degrees, this will automatically open and turn the fan on and cool it down for you. So really cool that you can do that. There is another one of these in the bathroom, and there's another remote here as well. Same system, okay? So just use the remote to turn this thing on and off. These remotes are the same. There's 3 fans installed in this camper, and there's 2 remotes, but you can take this remote in and out down there, it doesn't matter. None of the remotes are hard connected to any specific fan. So again, these are wireless, one-way. So it's whichever fan you point this at and hit the button, that's the command you're sending to the fan. There's 2 switches here. These are some light switches for you. In the shower, I do want to point out there is a water miser valve right here, and at the campground when you're connected to water, you know, city water, you just leave this down. The only time this is used, this is if you're in a campsite where there's no water. So this would be a state park or someplace where you don't have water. Then you can flip this up, and that recycles your hot water from the tank to preheat, so you don't waste cold water down the drain while you're waiting to take your shower. But again, that's only used with your pump and when you're camping in, you know, in a state park where you don't have a hose. Anytime you connect it to a hose, then you're going to want to leave that in the downward position, and then this is just going to operate like a normal shower. Toilet, you know, there's a foot pedal on the side, and you know, this you just push halfway, that fills with water all the way, flushes. Same as probably what you're used to. There's 2 USB ports here on the side of the dresser. Up here there's a light switch for the ceiling lights. Down there are the fuses and circuit breakers. That's the electrical panel. Also on the side of the bed, there's some outlets. There's also a light switch. And this is like a little built-in, like a reading light or like a night light over the pillows. Really cool. And then in this front compartment, there is water and electric hookup. That's if you wanted to put in one of those mini washer dryers. That's pre-wired for one of those. There's a TV hookup up here also. And the bed lifts up for storage too. Just grab this in the center, pull it straight up, and that gets you under the bed. That's the hoses and the other hardware that comes with the sweep back. It has like a little a wand and a hose you can use with that system. Okay, that's everything in here, guys. If you have any questions, you can call, email, or text. You can text our main phone number now, and I get those right on my phone. So if you're out in your RV, if you have a question or you can't figure something out, please remember, you can text, you can reach out even if we're closed, and I try to help you guys out, get your stuff straightened out, okay? Thank you.